Jeremy Nagel here, answering a question on the Zoho forums from Andrew. Andrew wants to be able to have a formula that will calculate the value of a contract based on the months remaining in the financial year. He says he wants to use a formula field. I'd advise against that because it's going to be super complicated to do it as a formula. It is a relatively complicated calculation, and when you do it inside a formula, it's just so difficult to work with. I guess what you could do is break it up into sub-formulas, but then you can't multiply them by each other. If I were doing this, I would do it as a custom function. So I will show you how to actually do it. If we create a new field to start off with, let's say contract start date, put that in here. One thing to bear in mind is that this won't dynamically update, that you're going to have to, even with a formula field, you'd have to actually trigger a re-update every time, every month basically. Otherwise it'll be accurate at the very beginning, but it won't automatically update every month or every day or anything like that, regardless of whether you use a custom function or a formula. It would be a bit easier with a custom function because you can trigger a workflow that would re-update the value of the contract. I'll do it that way. Contract value for this financial year. So then what we will do is we'll go to setup. We'll go to workflow, go to custom functions, configure a custom function, write your own, and then let me just pull this up, contract start date. So we'll associate it with leads, calculate financial year value, chuck it in here. We'll put the lead ID, and then we need to get the start date. So we'll go into free flow scripting mode. We'll go lead record equals Zoho.crm get record by ID. And then we want to go start date equals lead record dot get contract start date. So then we need to calculate the financial year. And I don't know how it works in the US. I'm going to base it off Australia, that the financial year starts in July 1. So what we can do is we want to calculate the months remaining in this financial year. So first of all, we will get the year and the month. Start date month equals start date dot get month. Start date year equals start dot get year. So then we will say if start date month is greater than 6, we will say that the months remaining equals 18, because that would be essentially until July the following year, minus start date month. So that's if it is July, August, or September, and so on. But if it is less, then we will say months remaining equals 6 minus start date month. Because for example, if it is, let's say it's June, then we'll say 6 minus 6 means that we've basically got 0 months left. And then if we wanted to get granular, we could figure out the percentage of a month as well, based on the number of days remaining, but we won't do that for this particular exercise. You can extend it if you want. So then basically we'll say, let's get the contract value. I think I've got some kind of field like that. Let's say probable deal size. And then we can say financial year contract value equals months remaining times the contract value. So we could try this out if I make this, let's say 6,000, like you were saying, or actually it was 5,000 per month. Let's do a few tests, and then we'll say the contract start date, we will put that in June, and then we're expecting the contract value to be 0. Let's see whether that works. Need to do a few other things, so I'll now update the lead. We'll say lead record dot put, and we'll go contract value for this financial year. Contract value, and then we will update the CRM. So let's try it out. Forgotten the date syntax. Need to convert it to a date first. Like that. So then we'll also need to convert that to a number. And now this should work. Let's see, what did it do? Can't actually tell. So I'll use info to help me debug. Let's say is, let's see, yep, it is 0 now. What about if we make it July? Might have to change the logic actually. Oh yeah, no, that should work. Wait, should be 19. Nope. Start date month. So this isn't working either. Let's have a look. So it's still not working. What's the contract value? Maybe that's not working. Aha, so there's an issue with contract date. Probable deal size. Yes, I was using the wrong one. Expected deal size is what we want. Yep, 60,000. So that's looking good now. Let's remove the info statements and then you can have this code. If you did want to do the days remaining as well, that wouldn't be too hard to figure out. We could do start date day equals start date dot get day, and then we can do months remaining equals months remaining plus start date day divided by 30. So now I'm expecting that should be slightly different. Need to make sure that all bubbles. It should be a decimal. Should be less than 60,000. Aha, so that's where it is not quite right. It should actually be 18. There we go, that's looking pretty good. So what you could do now is, if you did want this to update every day, you could set up a workflow rule that would be triggered every single day that would then call this custom function on every record, and you'd be able to then see the value of the contract day by day for the rest of the year. Or you could possibly manually trigger them once a month. But I think this formula here will basically do what you need. Hopefully this helps.